What's up, JL fans? We are back with another episode of The Pitch. I'm joined here with Kale and Tierney today. Brock could not make it. What's up, guys?
Hey.
T-Money and Dirty Kale.
Yeah.
So for this episode, we're talking about the new released article. If you guys saw that at all, it's on the team's plans for the pitching lineups through the games. Then we'll be talking about the fog and all of that crap. And then we'll end with something else. But I want to ask you guys a question first. Did you two, well, Tierney wasn't on the last episode, but Kale, did you get any texts about the $5 off t-shirts?
Yeah, Granny Woodruff.
Granny Woodruff. Oh, she watched it all the way through?
Yeah.
Dude, Granny Woodruff, the real OG JL fan, gets $5 off her JL t-shirt because she watched a 30-minute episode of The Pitch to the end. And at the end, we were like, yo, if you guys are still watching this freaking episode, because it's so long, you get $5 off. But Granny's the only real fan here, so she gets $5 off. All the rest of you guys have to pay the regular price. So let's get into this show. For our first topic, we're going to be talking about the pitching lineups for all the teams. There was an article released that gave almost every team. Kale, what is your biggest takeaway from this article? Like, which team is the biggest takeaway?
Well, me and Tierney were talking a little bit before the show, before you were on, and I kind of questioned the Waves plan a little bit to have basically the Nussbaum's plan is to start Adam every game, pitch him basically as long as he can until it just isn't working anymore. They have 3 other pitchers on the roster. I don't necessarily know that that's the best idea, but Tierney thought it was all right.
Yeah.
Tierney,
I think I don't hate the idea. I think he's got some kind of background behind it because Adam has done that before. He's gone the 3 games. Yeah, I mean, they lost, but he was also on the underdog. So, I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of support. So, I think if he gets some run support, I think he could go 3 games. It might not be the best because they have other pitchers, but why not try to ride him as long as you can? I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Tierney. Actually, I think Adam will be fine, especially for the first 2 games. And the first 2 games are big games, right? Like, they got the Cobras for their first game and then the Express for their second game. Their third game is the Underdogs. So, I mean...
See, here was my thinking time, is that last game, if they're 0-2 at that point, that game suddenly becomes a huge game, like almost a must-win game, because they can't go 0-3. I mean, that'd be very hard to recover from and still make the playoffs if they were 0-3. So if he's back going into that game, that's a problem. You know, because that's our 3rd game. He'll have already pitched hard for 2 games. And in my opinion, I actually do think he tends to lose control. Because, yeah,
I agree.
He has, I think, how many seasons? 2 of his 3 career seasons, he's pitched every inning for the team that he was on. And it was like 3 games or more. One season might have been more because when he was on the Cobras, we made the playoffs. So, but I think he starts to lose control after a while. So he can do it and still be a good pitcher, but I don't think he can be a dominant pitcher once you start getting into those later games.
Okay, I agree. I can attest to that. I pitched 3 games, and by the 3rd game, your arm freaking hurts. But this is my problem. If you don't pitch Adam in those first 2 games, you're just taking an L. Like, you're just being like, we're just going to lose this game, and we don't care. We're saving ourselves for the underdogs. Because if you pitch Nussbaum or Lane, I mean, we haven't really seen that much of Lane, but
Well,
those two
have Keith
probably
Bunn.
aren't going to be able to win. Huh?
They have the rookie, Keith Bunn. He's their number 2.
I know, but still, do you think – I mean, Adams obviously their best chance to win those games.
I know. I'm just saying if Adam is gassed by the 3rd game and he's struggling and they go, well, shoot, we got to bring in another guy or he's just going to totally collapse here against the underdogs and they're 0-2 and that's a must-win, I'd be real nervous about bringing in Keith Bunn as a rookie in a must-win situation like that, you know?
Okay, but I mean, you got to think, too, that it's not just Adam and Keith. You still have those – you still have Nussbaum and Lane. Like, yeah, they might not be the best pitchers, but if you're throwing out a new pitcher every 2 innings, it's going to be tough.
Well, yeah.
Would you rather start one of those two in the first 2 games?
Yeah, I think I would. I would maybe go, well, just the way the standings order set up, like it benefits you more to beat your conference opponent, obviously, than your non-conference opponent. And they play the Express in the second game. So, you know, in theory, that's going to be the more least important, you know, lesser important game. So I would maybe go Adam, full 5 against Cobras. See if you can get that win. Then against the Express, start Bunn. And because that game, I mean, it's like you got nothing to lose, you know? Start Bunn or Lane or whoever you want. See if you can keep it close. And if you can keep it close, then bring Adam in to close it out. And then Adam's rested enough to be able to go the distance in the underdogs game, which, in my opinion, is going to be the most important one.
Okay. All right. So 2 different opinions there. I have a different team for you. And Tyrion, we'll start with you. We have the Calais Bambinos, who, as we know, have Colton Titus and Nate Williamson, arguably 2 of the top 3 best pitchers in the entire league. And Brian Winton, the GM, his remarks were, it's just a game time decision. And that, and I quote, no matter who they put out there, it won't matter.
Okay.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think for a strategy, I actually don't hate it. I think it might actually work in their favor because now teams don't know who they're going to throw out. And I think he's partly right. I mean, he's got 3, 3, right?
We got
3
two
really –
Tyler.
Well, 2 really good pitchers, but he's got 3 options. And so why decide now? You know, I think he's got a good idea of waiting to see kind of what they look like on that day, because you never know, weather dependent. You never know, like, if his arm's going to hurt that day. You don't know those things. So I think it's a good strategy. I like it.
I really liked your weather dependent comment right there, because certain pitchers like Sullivan with the Cobras, Adam, who we were just talking about with the Waves, Lucas with the Fog, you know, like there's certain teams where it's like they're the best pitcher no matter what the conditions are. You know, Kyle, for their team, they're going to be the best pitcher. It doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, 100 degrees out, whatever. But when you have dual aces, I do think if it rains, which it might on the 12th, dual aces, you might want to see, you know, who's throwing better with the wet ball, you know, those kind of things, and then make the decision from there. Because though when it's like neutral playing conditions, they're pretty similar, one might be a little bit better in the rain than the other, you know, if it rains.
Yeah, Ty, what are your thoughts?
You know, I agree. I don't think that, I mean, the decision has to be made right now. Colton and Nate are both amazing pitchers, but we've only seen Colton pitch 1 tournament, and we've seen Nate be incredibly hot and kind of just random sometimes. Like, he can kind of be everywhere, like we saw in his first tournament. So, I mean, whatever pitcher seems to go out there, I obviously agree with Brian. I don't think it's going to matter. I think they're going to win either way. Whoever they put out there, I think they're the best team in the league. So that's the Bambinos. So to end this, we're just going to go through the rest of the teams and just quick answers, guys, on what your thoughts are for their pitching arrangement for this upcoming tournament. So first we have the Washougal Wrecking Crew, and their plan is to start Guthrie in Game 1 against the Bambinos, and then start Coleman in Game 2 against the Rapids. Kale, you got this one.
That's a great decision. Guthrie's got the experience. Bambinos is a huge game. You don't want to throw out rookie Coleman in that game. You know, you go with the veteran and Guthrie.
Okay.
To get his rookie debut against, I think, the Lynx or the Storm, one of those two teams, to their other games, you know, the second game.
Okay. Tierney?
Yeah, I think it's a good strategy. I mean, you obviously want to pitch Guthrie your first game, kind of get the right mindset in the tournament. I think that's a good call.
I agree. And Coleman is thrown against their non-conference game, which is Rapids, and I think that's a good decision too. A huge game. All right, next we have the Missouri Express.
Rapids, that's what I said. Storm.
Wait, what?
Nothing, just keep going.
Never mind.
Okay. Missouri Express said I'll probably pitch Game 1, and then Keel, if I'm pronouncing that right, is going to pitch against the Waves in Game 2. Taryn, what are your thoughts? You start off.
I like this. I think it's kind of the same idea as Guthrie. I think you want to start with your ace. I think Kyle's can kind of get him in the right mindset for the tournament. And then I like taking that break in that second game because they play the Waves. And it depends on kind of what the Waves decide to do too. But I think that's a good place for Keel to get his rookie debut. And then, like he said, depending on his arm, that's when they'll just go from there. So I like it.
Yeah, I think of the regular season, the opening game is the most watched one because it's, that you don't want to put rookie Keel in that situation. And I mean, it's the opening game. I don't think it matters who they're playing. I think opening game right after the plate ceremony, defending champions, you want to put your best arm out there and keep the momentum going from the last season. So yeah, great. And then them potentially splitting the last game. Good idea because they'll both be fresh. I think that's probably what they'll do too.
Okay, next we have the Castle Rock Rapids, who I am the GM, so I said I will most probably pitch against the Storm in the first game and the Wrecking Crew in the second game. And then when we face the Bison, Jordan will take over that game. Kale, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's good. I think Jordan hasn't pitched for a while, so you want to ease him back in. I think the Bison is obviously the right game to do that. I think we've seen you're capable of being one of those guys in the league that can pitch 3 games in one day and still be effective, and even go into the playoffs and still be effective. I think maybe you lose a little bit of effectiveness in the playoffs. And as a side note here, I think maybe that's what's kind of hurt the Rapids in the playoffs over the last few seasons. But there's no playoffs in this one, obviously. The seasons are longer, so there's only the first 3 regular season games. So I think you're going to be fine, and I think that's a good decision.
Okay. We'll just move on to the next one, and we have the San Francisco Cobras, who the GM
there is no GM.
Not the GM. The owner said that Michael Sullivan has the power to decide what he wants to do for the pitching rotation. Tierney, what do you think about this?
I like this one too. I think we've seen Michael pitch in the past, and maybe if he had an option to kind of get out of some of the pitching earlier, he might be able to perform a little bit better later on in the season. So I like giving him this power. I think I know Michael and know him well enough that he's not going to abuse it and be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit out, or yeah, I'm going to pitch all 3. I think he's going to take it how he feels, and I think he'll make the right decision.
Okay, and last we have the teams that did not give any comment on their pitching roster. We have the Anaheim Storm, the Columbia Bison, the Northwest Mafia, Bay Area Fog said that they will be doing Lucas Myers just as a one-man pitcher. Same with the Underdogs. They'll be pitching Ryan Fish, and the Toodle Lynx will be pitching Matthew Morton. Is there any last comments that you guys want to do on any of these 6 teams?
Lucas Myers one will be a little bit of a problem. We've seen that before. He's notorious in the league for losing stamina, losing control. Once he gets into multiple games in one day, that'll be a problem. I think with the Storm, they've got Hudson and Mazza. Mazza's the rookie. We know what Hudson can do in the circle. It's not great, so I think they're going to end up throwing Mazza the whole day. That's my guess.
I don't have really anything to add to that. I want to move on to the good stuff.
All right, I just have one thing to say about these 6. I think it's going to be super interesting because we got a ton of rookies in these lineups. We got Matthew Morton, Ryan Fish, Northwest Mafia, probably not, but the Columbia Bison maybe having a new rookie with the new signing of the younger brother Titus, and the Anaheim Storm, who knows, but I'm just excited to see how those will work out. So next, we have the notorious Bay Area Fog. Their owners have ditched the club. Well, not really ditched, but it's a long story. The Walls have taken over as the new owners. Kale, elaborate on what went down.
Well, I mean, like you said, all the information's in the article that got put out last week. Basically, I mean, the Fog owners wanted to sell the team, and then they decided they didn't want to, and then at the last minute, right before the season, they did. So we, the league administration, and Brock just kind of stepped in and handled the situation ourselves. And the Wall family had been asking about getting a team, so it was just an easy swing. And I think they're going to do a great job. I think you were saying this earlier, Ty. I mean, they might turn into some of the best owners.
Yeah, I agree.
Attorney, you don't know the Wall? You know Josh, but you don't know the rest of that family, do you?
No, I don't. I just know Josh.
The real quick, Josh's dad, Scott, owns 51% of the team, and Josh owns 49%. And they were talking about maybe Josh's mom getting a piece too, and his sister, like it being this 4-way, like big family thing. I mean, it kind of already is, but I will say this about the Walls. They're very competitive. They don't do things lazy. When they're going to do something, they go 2 feet in all the way. So,
see, I think, and I kind of agree with you. I don't think Josh is the best wiffle ball player out there, but I mean, he's there. He does it. He tries, and I kind of get that vibe from that whole family.
Yeah.
And so I think it's gonna be interesting because I personally think they're gonna be willing to put up the money for some big names. And so it's gonna be interesting to see in the next couple seasons where the Walls take this franchise, because they could really do a 180 with this franchise, and I think it's good. I think the Fog kind of need this right now.
Here's another thing I want to point out real quick is that Wall family, they live in Kalama, okay? So they're just not taking over a team. Of course, they're not going to get rid of Lucas. You know, they kind of already added some parts in Nick Proudfit. That was a good pickup, by the way, Ty. Don't you think?
Yeah, that was a good pickup. I thought it was too.
Who knows what they'll end up doing with Aaron Green. But, I mean, they took over the team so late, they can't really do a whole lot with their own hands on it, you know? And they have a good player in Lucas. So, you know, after this season, when they change the name and all that kind of stuff, and they start getting their hands in the pile and doing stuff with it, that's when you're going to really see what they can do. So don't necessarily judge them on how it goes this season because of what I said. The other point I wanted to make was them being in Kalama. Okay, they're going to have connections in that area that we don't even know who the people are, that they might know, that think, hey, this guy's a good baseball player. Maybe he'll be a good, outside people they'll bring into the league, I think. That, like maybe Brian, who's a great owner, but he's in Castle Rock, which is where, that area is most of where the other owners are. They're kind of all picking from the same pool of people that, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Have that advantage. And,
I think it's
yeah, go ahead.
No? Okay, I'll talk. Anyways, I was going to say, I think it's the perfect time for this to happen because the Fog, I feel like the Fog, like, they hit their peak when they won that championship in the Snow Bowl, and then it's just been slowly diving down. I mean, the tournament right after they won, they went 0-3, and then it's just been slowly dive bombing, and then they want to sell the team to make the biggest buck, and so I think it's good that the Walls are taking over. I agree with Kale. I think they're going to be maybe not the most like aggressive owners, but very efficient and successful in the long run. So
They're sharp too. I'll say this is
yes, they're very smart people.
they aren't going to just sign a guy to sign a guy. Like the whole intention is to win with them. So they're always going to be in the mix.
Yeah, Josh Wall may have signed himself, but I wouldn't be surprised if he like doesn't even play very much, if at all. Just because he knows he's Yeah, Josh wants to win. That's why I'm saying he might not play because he's not very good.
Okay, so here's a question for you guys. Do you see, because obviously, well, maybe not obviously, I don't know, his dad, you never know, he might start playing if it gets bad enough, but is Josh Wall going to become a hands-off owner? Or do you think he's going to want to try to stay on the team?
A hands-off owner.
Well, like, okay, maybe that was not the right term.
Like not be a player?
A non-player, yeah.
No, because I think it goes back to Josh likes winning. I think Josh is a notorious player right now in the league for having his whole career has been on the underdogs. He's done nothing as a player but lose. I think he knows he has an opportunity here to become kind of a winner in this league, even if it's just as the number 5 guy on the team and he just takes one at bat a game or, just plays the field or something like that on occasion and gets to win as a player too. Because the reality is you can have a really good team with 3 guys, and you can have a maximum of 5. So him being on the roster, I don't think prohibits them from having a great team.
I agree. All right, well, do we have any more topics to go over, Kale?
Well, Tierney said this was the fun stuff. So what was there anything else you had to add, Tierney? You wanted to chime in?
No, I just like this. I like the drama. That's what the league's all about. I love it.
Ty, did you have one last thing you wanted to do?
Not really, man. I'm just excited. I mean, we're frig, dude. We're like a week away. We got the merchandise coming in. Everybody's getting ready. I bet you by Wednesday, people are out in their backyard with a strike zone set up, working on the form. It's game time, baby.
I bet they already are, honestly. One thing I will say before we wrap this show up is that the annual preseason live on-site show that we do the day before the season will be happening again this year, or for this season, because it's a tradition. It's going to be me, Ty, and Tierney, and we're going to be on-site at 7th Avenue Park doing the live show and probably run down all our season picks because that's usually what we do on that show, and it should be fun. So be sure to tune into that one. It'll be on Facebook Live. Yes.
Oh, also, the 30 for 30 film will be coming out soon, so stay tuned for that also. I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll release this next week, kind of days before the season as a little treat.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of The Pitch. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we will see you guys next week. Get ready for this tournament. Let's go.